Lil Scrappy's journey has been an emotional roller coaster, filled with uncertainty, fear, and moments when hope felt like a distant dream. Just days ago, doctors expressed serious concerns, their faces grim as they warned his family that recovery was far from guaranteed. Fans were left in shock, glued to their screens, anxiously awaiting any updates on their beloved rapper's condition. His mother, devastated, pleaded for prayers, while close friends feared the worst. Social media was flooded with messages of concern, speculation, and even whispers that Scrappy might never return to the life he once knew. But now, everything has changed. In a dramatic and unexpected turn of events, doctors have finally given the green light. Scrappy's condition is improving. Against all odds, he's proving to be stronger than anyone imagined. The news has sent shockwaves through the industry, leaving everyone wondering, how did this happen? What led to this miraculous breakthrough? And most importantly, what does this mean for Scrappy's future? Get ready, because we're diving deep into the details of Scrappy's incredible turnaround, the emotional reactions from his family and fans, and the behind-the-scenes drama that almost changed everything. For days, Lil Scrappy's fans had spent sleepless nights refreshing their feeds, hoping for good news. The grim updates, the tearful pleas from his family, it had all created an air of hopelessness. But now, the entire situation has flipped on its head. The rapper, who was once clinging to life, has suddenly shown remarkable signs of improvement. It all started late last night when a close family friend, who had been by Scrappy's bedside, leaked a cryptic message online: "Miracles happen when you least expect them. Keep praying." Within minutes, fans began speculating, was Scrappy waking up? Had the doctors changed their assessment? The excitement was building, but there was no official confirmation yet. Then, early this morning, the breakthrough moment arrived. Scrappy's mother, Mama D, who had been silent for days, finally posted a video. Her eyes were red, her voice shaking, but this time, it wasn't from grief. It was from relief. My baby is fighting. He's stronger than they thought," she said, barely holding back tears. "The doctors just told us, Scrappy's got a real shot at recovery." The internet exploded. Celebrities, fellow rappers, and fans flooded social media with messages of joy and disbelief. After days of despair, hope had returned. But behind the scenes, the situation was more complicated than it seemed. While the doctors were optimistic, they remained cautious. Scrappy wasn't out of the woods yet. His journey back to full health would be anything but easy. For Scrappy's loved ones, the emotional roller coaster had been unbearable. Just 2 nights ago, the family had nearly lost hope. His condition had been deteriorating, and some medical professionals believed his body might not respond to treatment. The tension inside the hospital room was thick: silent prayers, hushed conversations, and the overwhelming fear of losing him forever. Bambi, Scrappy's estranged wife, had been struggling with her emotions. They had been going through a rough patch before his hospitalization, but none of that mattered now. She stayed by his side, watching the monitors, whispering words of encouragement even when he was unconscious. "I don't care about anything else, I just want him to be okay," she reportedly told a friend. Meanwhile, Mama D had been a force to be reckoned with. She fought tirelessly for the best doctors, the best care, the best prayers. At one point, she even clashed with hospital staff, demanding more aggressive treatments. "You don't give up on my son. I don't care what the numbers say, he's a fighter," she reportedly shouted at a doctor. And she wasn't wrong. Scrappy was fighting back in ways that stunned even the most experienced medical professionals. The turning point came in the early hours of the morning. Scrappy, who had been unresponsive for days, suddenly showed movement. It wasn't much, just a small twitch of his fingers, but it was enough. The doctors took it as a sign that his body was finally responding. By midday, there was even more progress. Scrappy had briefly opened his eyes. Though weak, he was aware of his surroundings. A nurse who had been monitoring him closely described the moment. He looked confused at first, like he was trying to figure out where he was. But then his eyes landed on his mother, and I swear, there was recognition there. The news spread like wildfire. Family members rushed to his bedside, tears streaming down their faces. His daughter, too young to understand the severity of the situation, was finally allowed to see him. She held his hand, whispering, "Daddy, wake up." The doctors, who had initially been preparing the family for the worst, now had a different message: he's not out of danger, but there's real hope. His vitals are stabilizing. If this progress continues, we could be looking at a full recovery. But as hopeful as this news was, one major obstacle remained: Scrappy's body was weak, and his road to recovery would be long and uncertain. And in the midst of all this, tensions within his family and inner circle were beginning to rise. While everyone was celebrating Scrappy's progress, not everyone agreed on what should happen next. His medical team had a strict recovery plan in mind, but some family members had different ideas. Mama D, always a strong influence in Scrappy's life, believed that his recovery should be centered around spirituality. "This is a miracle, and we need to treat it as such," she told the family. She had already contacted several pastors and spiritual healers, wanting them involved in the process. But Bambi wasn't having it. She wanted a strictly medical approach. "This isn't the time for experiments. He needs science. He needs rehab. He needs professional care," she argued. Their disagreement turned into a heated exchange, one that nearly led to an all-out confrontation right there in the hospital. Meanwhile, Scrappy's close friends had their own concerns. Some believed that once he recovered, he needed to cut certain people out of his life, people who had only brought drama and negativity. If he makes it out of this, he needs a fresh start. "No more toxic energy," one of his longtime friends was heard saying. And then there was Scrappy himself. He was awake now, barely, but as he regained more strength, the decisions about his future would ultimately be his own. Would he listen to his mother? Would he reconcile with Bambi? Or would he take an entirely different path that no one saw coming? One thing was certain: this story was far from over. Before he fell ill, where was all this love? Bambi clenched her fists, her frustration boiling over. But before she could fire back, Scrappy groaned from his hospital bed. "Can y'all not do this right now?" he muttered, his voice weary. Both women fell silent, but the tension in the room was thick. Scrappy was fighting to recover, but his family was on the verge of falling apart. Outside the room, his close friends were taking sides. Some backed Mama D, convinced that Bambi was only there because of the attention his condition had drawn. Others believed Mama D was being overbearing, refusing to accept that her son had built a life of his own. And just when things couldn't get any more chaotic, the hospital door swung open. The room went still as a familiar figure stepped inside: Erica Dixon, Scrappy's ex and the mother of his first child. The moment Mama D saw her, a smirk spread across her face. "Now, this is the woman who really has his back," she said loudly enough for Bambi to hear. Bambi rolled her eyes, but Erica ignored her. She walked straight past the drama and into Scrappy's room. Scrappy looked up in surprise. What are you doing here?" Erica folded her arms. "I heard you were in bad shape. I wasn't about to let my daughter's father go through this alone." Scrappy sighed. He hadn't spoken to Erica in months, but deep down, he wasn't shocked she had shown up. No matter how messy their past was, she always had a way of being there when it mattered. "Thank you," he said simply. Outside the room, Bambi was fuming. "Oh, so now she cares," she muttered under her breath. Mama D smirked. Unlike some people, Erica's always been family. The battle lines were drawn. Scrappy was stuck in the middle. But right now, his mind was consumed by a new worry: his career. Would he ever perform again? Could he get back to making music? Or was this the beginning of the end? A whole new battle. Scrappy lay in his hospital bed, exhaustion weighing on him, but his mind wouldn't slow down. His body was weak, but the chaos around him was stronger than ever. Erica's unexpected arrival had reopened old wounds. Mama D was practically celebrating, acting as if Erica was Scrappy's real support system, while Bambi struggled to hold back her anger. Scrappy sighed, rubbing his forehead. I don't even know what better looks like anymore. He wasn't just talking about his health. He was talking about everything, his marriage, his family, his career. It all felt like it was hanging by a thread. Bambi, who had been waiting outside, finally had enough. She stepped into the room, her tone firm. We need to talk. Erica raised an eyebrow, but didn't move. Mama D, still lingering in the doorway, looked ready for a fight. Alone, Bambi added. Erica glanced at Scrappy. You want me to go? Scrappy hesitated, then gave her a small nod. Yeah. Let me handle this. With a sigh, Erica stood and walked past Bambi, giving her a knowing look. Bambi ignored it. This wasn't about Erica or Mama D. This was about her and Scrappy. She sat on the edge of his bed, her expression softer now. Scrap, do you even want me here? Scrappy frowned. What kind of question is that? A real one, she said. Because from the way your mom's been acting, from the way Erica just walks in here like she still belongs in your life, I don't know where I fit in anymore. Scrappy exhaled slowly. Before his health scare, he and Bambi had been on the verge of calling it quits. But now, she was here, showing him love when he needed it most. I don't know what's going to happen with us, he admitted. But I do know that you being here, it means something. Bambi bit her lip. But is it enough? Before he could answer, the door burst open again. This time, it was one of his closest friends, Diamond, looking frantic. Yo, Scrap, she panted. We got a problem. Scrappy groaned. What now? Diamond hesitated before answering, her voice low. The label. Scrappy's eyes widened. What about them? They're talking about replacing you, she said. They don't know if you'll bounce back, and they don't want to take any chances. They're already scouting for someone else. A heavy silence fell over the room. Bambi looked at Scrappy, panic flashing in her eyes. They can't do that. You're not even out of the hospital yet. Diamond sighed. Business doesn't wait, Bambi. They need to know if Scrappy's gonna be able to perform again. And right now? They're not sure. Scrappy clenched his jaw. He had worked too hard, fought too long, to let it all slip away now. His music wasn't just his career, it was his identity. I need to talk to them, he said firmly. Diamond shook her head. Not in your condition. You need to focus on getting stronger first. But Scrappy wasn't hearing it. If the label thought he was done, he had to prove them wrong. With a grunt, he started to sit up, wincing from the pain. Bambi immediately placed a hand on his chest, stopping him. Scrap, no. You're not ready. I don't have a choice, he said. If I don't fight for my spot, they'll take it from me. Mama D, who had been eavesdropping, stepped into the room, fire in her eyes. Ain't nobody replacing my son, she declared. I'll call up those fools myself if I have to. Bambi rolled her eyes. Mama D, this isn't something you can just fix. Well, neither is a broken marriage, but that hasn't stopped you from trying, has it? Mama D shot back. Enough, Scrappy groaned. His head was pounding now, and all the arguing wasn't helping. Everyone fell silent, watching him. Look, he said, his voice strained. I don't know what's gonna happen with me and Bambi. I don't know if the label's gonna stick with me. But I do know one thing, I ain't done. Not yet. Bambi reached for his hand, squeezing it. Then fight for it, Scrap. But do it the right way. Get better first. Scrappy looked at her, then at his mother, then at Diamond. And for the first time in weeks, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. It wasn't going to be easy. There were still battles to fight. Still people waiting to see if he could pull through. But one thing was certain, Scrappy wasn't giving up. Not now. Not ever. What do you think will happen next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next.